Before we get into some free agent targets for the Falcons, producer Rolly is offering up a beer bong if we can reach 9,000 subscribers on this show. Now, what Rolly doesn't know is what I'm about to say next, which is once we get to 10K, I'm going to offer up for him to do a belly shot. That's right. So Rolly right now is tossing and turning. He's upset. Let's get to 10K. Let's get some belly shots on screen. No one wants to see that. On today's show, we're going to check out the top 25 free agent targets for the Falcons in 2023 NFL free agency. Welcome into Falcons Today by Chat Sports. Now, first thing first, I want to give some love to the real ones at the channel, we like to say. Those of you that are always active in the comment section. You guys answered the bell yesterday when we put out a call to who can comment the most on an individual video. And Mark, Jiggy, and Duke, you guys showed up and showed out. So shout out to you guys. Always appreciate the frequent commenters club down below. Now, the team needs for the Falcons look like this: edge rusher, defensive tackle, cornerback, safety, wide receiver. And if I could add one more, just talent, right? I don't think this team is one position away from becoming a favorite to win the division, right? They just need to add talent to this roster right now. So keep that in mind as we get closer to free agency. But let's start off with probably the number one defensive tackle on the market this free agency. That is the former first-round pick from Alabama, Daron Payne from the Washington Commanders. This could be the number one free agent target for the Falcons amongst many other NFL teams, by the way. Just imagine Grady Jarrett and Daron Payne. That's going to be a tough defense to run against here. Now, Daron Payne this past season put up 11.5 sacks, 5 pass breakups, and 18 tackles for loss. Keeping it on the defensive line for free agent target number 2, that would be Yannick Ngakoue from the Indianapolis Colts. He was traded from the Raiders, and this past season for Indy, which was not a season to remember, I'll remind you, was actually pretty decent for the Colts. 9.5 sacks, 7 tackles for loss. He has been steadily consistent. He had a good start to his career with the Jags, kind of so-so after that, but he could be a name to watch for, no doubt about it. What about a familiar foe? That is Marcus Davenport, another former first-round pick, this time for the New Orleans Saints, who has just sort of struggled to stay on the field. That's been his biggest issue, is the injuries. But why not bring on a familiar face, right? That's someone that the Falcons have seen time and time again, and Marcus Davenport could provide some very much-needed pass rush to the Falcons team that has been pretty much the worst pass-rushing unit across the NFL the last 2 or 3 seasons. We go back interior on the D-line for Javon Hargrave. If it's not Daron Payne, it's Hargrave, who has put together an awesome season for the Philadelphia Eagles. He is an elite run stopper in the middle, and he has no problem getting after the quarterback as well. He's 4 years older than Daron Payne, which will probably get him a little bit of a lesser contract, so you could view him as a cheaper option, but I still think he's a name to watch for. One more defensive end here is the San Francisco 49ers rotational piece. That is Samson Ebukam. He is a third down, obvious passing situation, defensive end, 5 sacks this year. When you're watching the NFC Championship game this Sunday, and you go, who is that for the 49ers? Keep a memory for that name, because he could be someone suiting up in ATL next year. He's a cheaper option. He's not going to cost you what Yannick Ngakoue or Marcus Davenport are going to go for. And I think he is someone that's sort of been clouded, right? He's been stuck behind some great players in San Francisco, like Bosa and Armstead and Kinlaw. He could really break out with a higher snap count in Atlanta. I want to hear from you, though. Who do you think the Falcons should sign in free agency? We've got 20 more names to go. I want to hear who you think the number one guy should be for Fontenot and the rest of this Falcons front office this upcoming free agency pool. Before we check out the rest of the names, I want to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, Magic Spoon. Magic Spoon is bringing you today's show, and if you are looking for a breakfast option that will fuel you for your entire day, well, then look no further than Magic Spoon. As cereal lovers, we know how hard it is to find a nutritious option that also tastes great. But Magic Spoon has changed the game. Magic Spoon cereal is made with high-quality ingredients, packed with 13 to 14 grams of protein and 0 grams of sugar. Plus, it's gluten-free, grain-free, and soy-free, making it a perfect option for those following a keto diet. But the best part, Magic Spoon is delicious. With a variety of flavors like cocoa, fruity, frosted, and peanut butter, you'll be able to find your new favorite breakfast. And at only 140 calories per serving, you can indulge without the guilt. Start your day off right with Magic Spoon. Order your own personalized variety pack today and save $5 by using code CHAT at magicspoon.com/chat or by scanning the QR code on screen. And with a 100% happiness guarantee, you have nothing to lose by giving it a try. Upgrade your breakfast game with Magic Spoon. I've got that link for everyone in the comments and the description of today's show. That is magicspoon.com/chat. Let's get back to our free agent targets now. We turn our attention to the secondary with Jonathan Jones. Probably the New England Patriots' best cornerback this past season. He's a bit older of a player, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Falcons try to bring some veteran cornerback leadership to pair with A.J. Terrell and maybe even Hayward as well. This past season for New England, 69 tackles, 4 interceptions, and 11 pass breakups. The former Auburn Tiger had a phenomenal year for the Patriots. Now, he's more of a slot guy, but he has played a little bit outside. But I'm thinking about the Falcons secondary right now, and I think A.J. Terrell's a better outside corner anyway. So Jonathan Jones could take over that slot nickel duty position for Atlanta. Next up is Emmanuel Moseley. This is going to be an expensive free agent, along with Marcus Peters from the Baltimore Ravens. So two bigger names, higher profile guys that have gained a really good reputation. Now, Peters could potentially end his career in Atlanta. He's bounced around a little bit from Kansas City to Baltimore. Wouldn't be shocked if he maybe comes to the Southeast to wrap up his career with the Falcons. Next up, speaking of the Southeast, is Cam Sutton, a former Tennessee Vol, along with Sean Murphy-Bunting. So, a familiar name right there from the Buccaneers. Now, when you compare Sutton and Murphy-Bunting, they both had really good seasons for their respective clubs this past season, right? 15 pass breakups for Sutton, 7 for Sean Murphy-Bunting, interceptions, 5 total. I mean, these are two guys that may not cost you as much as Emmanuel Moseley, but I do think they are going to be pretty coveted cornerbacks in a league where all GMs are chasing after quarterbacks, pass rushers, and cornerbacks. Now, I want to hear from everyone watching right now. What do you think the Falcons' biggest need is this offseason? Use this as an opportunity to sort of grab the mic, get in the comment section, and let me know. We keep the train moving by looking at some other cornerbacks and DBs, James Bradberry and Jessie Bates. James Bradberry was one of the best cornerbacks in football this past year. Jessie Bates, and actually, let's toss on his teammate, Von Bell. The Bengals are in an interesting spot right now. They have to pay Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Those broke boys up in Cincinnati are not going to be able to afford Jessie Bates and Von Bell, which means they could be on the market. And I like Hawkins. I think, though, we could use an upgrade, though. And imagine a secondary with A.J. Terrell and Jessie Bates. That's a scary room right there. Jordan Poyer is another name to watch for. The 31-year-old former day 3 pick from the Cleveland Browns and then now the Buffalo Bills. He could be a fun name to add in the offseason as some veteran leadership. Speaking of former first-round picks, though, Jabrill Peppers for the New England Patriots. So remember, Jabrill Peppers was with the Browns, and then he got traded with the Odell Beckham Jr. trade to the Giants. Had some good years with the G-Men. Popped his Achilles last year, ended it, and then he went to New England, where he has been sneaky good this past season. Now, the Falcons secondary, here's what I want to say on it. It needs help. It just does. A.J. Terrell, a bit of a regression last season. You need to bring in some bigger names right there. You got everything open except for CB1. So I think an experienced safety could do wonders for the secondary. I don't think you have to go out and sign the biggest cornerback, but I do think that there should be depth and talent added to this room here. Moving along, an absolute big position of need is wide receiver, which is why we're looking at Jakobi Meyers. The former UDFA out of NC State, the slot wide receiver, could fit in and pair nicely with Drake London. Last season, Jakobi Meyers, 804 yards and 6 touchdowns. His play caller was Matt Patricia. Wonder what a good offensive play caller like Arthur Smith could do with some real talent at wide receiver. That Drake London, Kyle Pitts, whether it's Desmond Ridder or someone else, they could do some big numbers there. Maybe the best wide receiver on the market this year, and that says a lot about the free agent market this year, is Juju Smith-Schuster, the former Pittsburgh Steeler, and this past season with the Kansas City Chiefs. I think Juju, just like Jakobi Meyers, could be a very good wide receiver too on this team. I'm not a huge fan of Juju Smith-Schuster, so if they do sign him, I hope it's not for a lot of money. But if he's open and he's not going to cost you a whole lot, I'm not going to turn down some veteran, I wouldn't say leadership, but a veteran presence in that wide receiver room for a young quarterback like Desmond Ridder. Mecole Hardman, speaking of Kansas City, he's a speed demon, right? He could be making a return back to the Peach State as well. Former UGA Bulldog right there, and he would open up the vertical game, which, when I think about the Falcons offense and the play calling last year, it was a lot of bootlegs. It was a lot of floods. It was a lot of tight ends and receivers crossing over the middle of the field. Didn't get a whole lot going this way. Not a whole lot of north and south. Marcus Mariota never really developed any chemistry with his receivers downfield. Mecole Hardman with the burners, he could open things up and really add a vertical presence to this offense, which is very much needed in my opinion. Now we look internal, right? What about re-signing a former first-round pick of yours who I sure bet the Falcons wish they put a fifth-year option on, and that is right tackle Kaleb McGary. So I would like to see them find a way to bring him back. He was one of the better tackles in football this year, which, sure, it's a bit frustrating that it took 4 years to get that out of him, but you finally did. So don't double down on a mistake by not picking up his fifth year, which at the time didn't seem all that bad, but letting him walk when you finally get some good play out of him, at the very least, slap a franchise tag on him and see if he can repeat that next season. Now, the next offensive tackle is not a good one. That is Isaiah Wynn. I shouldn't say that. He's a polarizing player. I think if you ask PFF and the nerds over there, he's a good offensive tackle. If you ask your New England Patriots friends, what do you think of Isaiah Wynn? They'll tell you, run far away. Listen, if you can't bring back McGary, I think he could be a decent replacement. He's been up and down, inconsistent, but I don't think it's the worst thing in the world here. Let's look at some other free agent targets, including Mike McGlinchey and Garrett Bradberry. So, two bigger names. In fact, let's keep the train moving here. What about another player in the NFC Championship game this weekend? That is Isaac Sumalo, the offensive lineman from the Eagles, who I'm sure I just butchered his last name. And then the New York Giants, kind of a six-man, if you will, Nick Gates. And then there's Samaje Perine. I like Tyler Algier a lot. I love Tyler Algier. Cordell Patterson is on the last year of his contract. We know Arthur Smith had an affinity for running the football last year. Might he want to bring on another veteran workhorse back to sort of ease Desmond Ridder into his first season as a full-time starter? Now, this question, I think, is maybe the biggest question of all. I don't think anyone has the right answer. What is the bigger priority this offseason for Fontenot and the Falcons? Is it on offense or is it on defense? Improvements have to be made at both sides of the football. But which side should get some more TLC? Let me know in the comments section below. I appreciate all of you who made today's show a part of your day. We're going to sign off and see you guys later with more Falcons news and rumors.